Hello there and welcome to my channel, Midnite Oil Software. I'm Greg and I'm just, again, have my headphones on just to make sure I can hear myself on the stream. There's a little bit of a lag here, a little bit of a delay. Hello, testing 1, 2, 3. Hello, testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, there I am. Alrighty, so, wow, where did we leave off? We left off where I was adding the player manager to spawn ships, player ships into the scene dynamically at random spawn points. And that was not working when I was testing it. I also saw that I've got some null reference exceptions in the game, which is because I'm accessing the event bus after it's destroyed. It doesn't really break anything because it's when I'm exiting the game that happens, but I'm going to want to put in some protections for that. And I've asked Bezzy to look at why I wasn't spawning my ship, and it seems to be that it's not finding the player manager. There is a static class that gets automatically loaded when the game is loaded, and it's supposed to go and find all of my singleton mono behaviors and run, there's a method on them called runtime initialization. And for some reason, it's not finding the player manager. I'm just going to move this up to the top. I don't know if that's going to make a difference, but we're going to test that. The other thing I wanted to do, I noticed there was a warning when I started Unity about my input system, and the reason that is popping up is, let's see, where was that? I want to tell it to use only the new input system. So it was complaining that this input manager is going to be deprecated. So there you can see here, the input manager is a legacy feature and is not recommended. So all I want to do is just tell it just to use the new Unity input system. So I think it's going to restart Unity when I do that. Again, it's not a big deal, but I don't like seeing warnings in my console. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that. I'm also going to want to enable debug logging on my player manager, so I can hopefully get some diagnostics about that. But yeah, definitely the fact that it was not even trying to instantiate the player ship because it didn't find the player manager. Oh boy, Unity is so fast. Sarcasm detected. I wonder what all these compilation errors are here. Did I introduce those? Oh, they went away when I selected the file. So I guess Unity just needed to recompile. Alrighty. So that's open now. Let me just hit play and see if it spawns a player ship. Well, before I do that, I want to go to my player manager. Oh, enable debug log is set to true already. Okay. And it does not look like it spawned the player ship. And I do see some errors here in the console. Some of my mono behaviors are starting up. my singletons. Ah, the player manager. I saw something there for the player manager. Spawned local player 0. So that's good. What is this here? Missile UI has not been assigned. Oh, so we're getting an error when it tries to spawn this. Let me go take a look at that error again. The missile ammo of missile UI has not been assigned. Missile UI. Put a little guard in there for that. All right, a couple more guards in there just to prevent those errors from propagating up. Gonna go ahead and hit stop. And I want to look at my prefab for my ship. So what is this looking for here? So reloading bars and image. Reloaded. Transform. And what's a transform for the missile ammo? Type mismatch. Type mismatch. Very interesting. That is a TMP text. That is an image. I thought I had locked that. Very interesting. This is definitely an image, and this should be an image. Well, let me hit play again and see if I get that error in my console. I think the problem is that the ship hadn't spawned yet. Object reference not set. Oh, I got a ship. Okay, that's progress, I guess. So there's my warnings I added. So this happens when we instantiate. And this is an on enable. I might want to move this into on start. Actually, what I might want to do is add an initialization method that gets called from the player's ship. But for now, I'm just going to try changing this to start. Whoop. Bunch of errors. Ship engine. Okay, where's that called from? Fixed update. All right, that should fix that error. So I think there's a problem here. All right, let's see what that gets us. Still getting errors in the missile UI. Yep, so that's expected. So I think the problem, well, I know the problem is that we're not initializing our ship and all its components correctly. Now that we've moved the ship out of this initial scene and just made it a prefab that we instantiate with our player manager. So there's some configuration issues going on here. And I can meticulously debug it like this, but this might be a good opportunity to showcase how Bezier can help you debug issues. So I might actually recruit Bezier to help solve these issues. But first, let me just see what happens when I hit play. Now, I'm expecting that I'll still get some other errors, but it'd be interesting to see whether or not it lets me actually control the ship and move. I don't think it will because my movement controls are undefined. Yeah, well, nope, it just changed the camera view. All right, so let's see what Bezier can tell us from this. I'm going to pull this in here and saying after refactoring to spawn the player ship via the player manager instead of it already existing in the scene. Our ship components are not getting initialized correctly, resulting in several runtime errors. Diagnose and fix these issues. Yeah, these, I think I'm going to have to move these out of the ship. And the way I'll probably have to do that is use events, have a UI component to display those things, and have it respond to events that the ship can fire. Just totally decouple the UI from the ship. I mean, this worked fine when the player ship just always existed in the scene and could be directly updated by the ship, or in this case, by the missile UI component that lived on the ship. It'd be interesting to see what Bezier suggests. It's probably going to make some changes I'm going to have it throw away. It's taking its own sweet time, isn't it? Something went wrong. Okay, that's good. I'm going to have it redo this. Okay, so it wants to add missing components. It doesn't like my tightly coupled UI. That's good. Oh, UI component should be in the scene and use event bus to respond to player spawn events. I like that. So first, create weapon UI events. So it's going to create them for me under events. Update Blaster UI to use the event bus. So it's going to subscribe to those events. Perfect. Man, why does it keep scrolling? Update the ship controller to raise those events. That's perfect. Need to add a method to set whether this is a local player. Yeah, that's definitely what you want to do. Since we're planning to move this to multiplayer. Hello, Brain Rig. So I think this new version of Bezier will actually add the components to Unity as well. Thanks, Grandpa. You're more than welcome for my Unity addressable tutorial. That was a fun one to do. Continue. I should have done a source control commit before I started this change. It's interesting, it's looking at the console, but we haven't run the game. Yeah, they're from before my fixes. Good for figuring that out. Oh, good. Found them. Yep, you need to add them. Another thing I was doing, so one of the issues that we ran into early on with this game is there's a floating point precision issue. If you get a certain distance from Unity, which is 0, 0, 0, or origin, I should say, 0, 0, 0, you start to see jitter in the visuals. And so basically the only solution was to not fly so far away from Unity, from origin. I always say that. There's a couple of different ways you can fix that. One is to use ECS, which gives you double floating point precision. But the other option is to basically break space up into sectors. And so you'd have like sector, and then you'd have your coordinates within that sector. And then what you would display on your UI just depends on what sector you're in and what sector your opponents are in. However, I mean, that can get a little complicated, especially when you add multiplayer, excuse me, into the mix. So I haven't decided yet how I'm going to tackle that for the multiplayer version. On one hand, it could be really interesting to go ahead and use ECS because I haven't really done anything with ECS, so that would be a whole cool new thing to learn. The other option, though, it's an interesting technical challenge to implement that, breaking it up into sectors and handling that. Let's see what happens if I hit play. I ought to go and examine these components and make sure it's set all that up correctly. Oh, bunch of errors. But I can control the ship now, but my camera looks kind of wonky. But I can definitely control the ship. But it definitely was displaying my missiles and stuff correctly. So what are all these errors? A whole bunch of invalid operation exceptions. On the Unity input, you have switched active input handling. Yeah. I'm trying to read input using the... Oh, so apparently my input is using the old Unity input system? Ah! That's so funny. Okay. So... So what would that be? Be keyboard dot current dot, yeah, go ahead and add that. Dot escape key was released this frame. So that'll fix that error. I wonder where else I was doing that. Get key down. Okay. If keyboard dot current dot F1 key dot was pressed this frame, keyboard dot current dot C key was press this frame. Let's see how many more errors we get. Still getting errors. I bet you a lot of those. Well, it's in a camera manager, but I'm also going to want to fix the ones in my input manager. So let's see. Keyboard dot current dot one never actually looked for the 1 key before. So would it be the same as numpad 1? Oh, +1. Oh, this is what allows me to switch cameras. Key control. Come on, you can do it. Oh. Nice. Okay, let's go see what other errors I've got related to the keyboard. Man, there's a gazillion of them for the keyboard. I mean, for the camera. All right, let me just see. Now that we fixed that error, I'm down to 135 of them. And still in the camera manager. So let's see. 1, 2, 3. So I can't change cameras. The camera's facing the wrong direction. Let's see. Still on line 32. Object reference not set. Okay, so I couldn't find that key. All right, Bezzy, I could look this up, but I'm just going to copy and paste this error. Fix this so it dynamically finds the numeric key to check using the new Unity input system. I should have started a new thread. And I should have selected the camera manager to help limit its scope. It is 12:40. Got a few more minutes left in my lunch break. I was on vacation all last week. Our family went up to D.C. and went to a bunch of museums. We saw the Air and Space Museum, the Natural History Museum, the Bible Museum. We walked all the way from the other side of the Capitol, to the Washington Monument, to the Lincoln Memorial, and back. That was a lot of walking. Still looking for numpad key number, so I'm guessing that might not work still. But at the very least, I shouldn't get any null reference exceptions because we put the null check in. Okay, so it's just the interior of the ship does not have my lighting. Ooh. How the heck did I get killed? I must have got shot. And I'm not respawning, so we haven't put that in there. But no more errors in the console. Okay, so let me look at my prefab for the player ship. And of course it can't see me. So let me actually go ahead and spawn the ship, and I'm going to hit pause. Okay. What? Oh, I thought I hit pause. I must have hit stop. Okay, so player 0. Cockpit with interior details. Area light. Very interesting. So one thing I want to do is disable our enemy ship manager. I want to put all these rocks too under a container so I don't have to see them all in my hierarchy. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I should not get shot anymore. Oop. Let's come over here to our directional light. So I can't tell if my camera is facing forward or not. Yeah, so the problem is the positioning of my cockpit camera. But it's also, that throws my targeting reticle out of whack. I don't like that. I can always tweak that later. Oh, it's not going to let me override those. Let me go back to that camera. I wonder if these were the settings I wanted to adjust and not these. I really wonder why they look fine when the player ship was just in the scene, but not when it spawned. Interesting. Oh, that looks better. All right, so let me copy that, hit stop, go to the player ship prefab, go down to cockpit camera. Where is it? There we go. Paste. All right. All righty. Now let's spawn and see what that looks like. Oh, hey there, Brainerd. You found my video through Gemini AI. Cool. Oh, the follow camera does not seem to be working too well. Well, I think that was good progress for today. We got the player ship spawning through the player manager, fixed a bunch of errors. I got to figure out what's up with the follow camera. That did not look right at all. And let me just go ahead and save project. and go to my source control. Let Copilot generate my commit details, see what all it says. Introduce player manager, player spawn point scripts, replace the direct prefab references with the runtime management, refactored UI scripts to decouple from player prefab, now referencing player weapons and health via events. Updated camera manager and game manager to use the new input system, added event structs for player and weapon events, updated. Man, that is about as comprehensive a check-in commit as I could get. So I'm going to go ahead and commit that and push it. And there we go. Well, if you hung around and watched this, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. I hope you found it enjoyable and informative. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and join my Discord server. There should be a link in the description of this video. And there's also a link to the 3D Space Shooter tutorial series on YouTube and the source code for that entire project. So anyway, I got to get back to work, but thanks so much for watching and good luck on your game development journey.